Welcome to our Sardinian journey. In this episode, we'll visit the town of Alghero. We'll peek into the small ferry houses and the great Neptune cave. We'll show you the prehistoric Nuraghi and the hilltop town of Castelsardo. Finally, we'll reach the most famous beach, La Pelosa. Think of a place thousands of years old. Where history speaks the ancient language of stones. Think of an island that has attracted sailors and dreamers for centuries. Think of music that captures the heart. Imagine its inhabitants living in harmony with nature. Imagine an island wild, beautiful, and authentic. Imagine the people captivated by this place. Listen, we're leaving, I don't know if you know. Experience an adventure in the depths, underground, on land and sea. Experience encounters that remain in the heart. Experience a history that endures. And a present that captivates with warmth. Think of all this. Think of Sardinia. And join us on a journey to this extraordinary island. Sardinia. Oh, so many positive emotions. It's truly amazing. Now it's time for something to eat.
Welcome to our channel, Wukash and Roddick. This is one of the airports in Alghero. Everyone comes here for a Sardinian experience. We invite you to the first part of our Sardinian journey. In this episode, we'll show you the unique places in northwest Sardinia.
Enjoy! Alghero Airport is one of 3 airports you can choose from in Poland. You can also fly to Olbia or Cagliari. During the flight, you can admire the famous archipelagos, as well as our destination, Alghero. In the arrivals hall, you can view maps of the major tourist attractions, as well as local wines assigned to each region. We have all this planned. Immediately at the airport, we completed the formalities related to renting a car. We chose Drivalia while we were still in the country. It's worth making a reservation in advance to ensure availability and the type of car. Traditional documentation of the condition, and off you go. Without a car, you can use public buses or taxis. The journey from the airport to the city takes half an hour. However, finding a parking space can be quite challenging. As in all major Sardinian cities, this can be a challenge. It's worth choosing a hotel that offers parking. Just read carefully, as sometimes they provide a space in the municipal parking lot based on availability, meaning there's no availability for most of the day. Remember the Italian parking marking system. White lines are free, blue lines are paid, and yellow lines are reserved for residents and other reservations. For our overnight stay in Alghero, we chose the Hotel Catalunya. This impressive building, located in the city center, is visible from most places. To complete this unique experience, we choose a room on the top floor with stunning views of the port, bay, and old town. The building even has a certain historical value, having been in operation since 1964. Its name highlights Alghero's Catalan heritage. More on that in a moment. According to statistics, Alghero is one of the most visited places in Sardinia. The first settlements were established here in the Bronze Age, built by the Nuraghic civilization. We'll return to this later. The city was founded in the 10th century by the Genoese Doria family. In the 10th century, it was occupied by the Aragonese. From the 10th to the 11th century, it was a Catalan-Aragonese colony. Catalan became the language of everyday life and administration. In the 10th century, Alghero came under the rule of the Kingdom of Sardinia only. To become part of the new Italian state in 1861 with the unification of Italy. To this day, 15% of the population speaks the archaic Catalan language, which is considered a minority language. The name Alghero comes from the Catalan and refers to seaweed, which was common in the bay and surrounding the city. Alghero has a population of approximately 40,000. It is the island's main port city on the west coast. For centuries, it has been famous for its red coral fishing, which became an important source of income and a symbol of the city. Traditionally, divers here harvested the coral by hand from the seabed, using hooks, lines, and small boats. The coral was exported throughout Europe. It is still used to make jewelry, but today, fishing is strictly regulated by Italian and European Union law to protect the marine environment. In Alghero, you can visit the Coral Museum. Alghero is one of the few Italian cities to retain most, about 70%, of its defensive walls and towers. The Genoese fortifications dating from the 10th and 11th centuries were expanded in the 15th century. Among other things, the Porta Terra, land tower, used to enter the city can still be seen today. The Powder Tower or the Tower of Saint Magdalene, also known as Garibaldi's Tower, boasts openings through which boiling water or olive oil was poured onto the enemy. Now, crowds of visitors flock to the ramparts. We recommend this hike, especially since the walk is free and can be enjoyed at any time of day or night. And the sunsets are magical. As you can see, you can also indulge in blissful laziness beneath the walls. Sunbathing enthusiasts, however, recommend the sandy beaches stretching around Alghero. Just beyond the port, strolling along the promenade, you can find Spiaggia del Lido di Alghero, Spiaggia di San Giovanni, and Marta Pia. For those who want and can venture further, Alghero offers numerous beaches. Its coastline stretches for 90 kilometers. Alghero's biggest attraction, however, is its old town. Due to its history and architecture, it's called Little Barcelona. A labyrinth of alleys, narrow streets, and numerous squares. The best way to explore is on foot. All the attractions are within easy reach. Tourist-filled paths offer opportunities for sightseeing, browsing the numerous shops, and enjoying Italian delicacies at the stalls, ice cream parlors, bars, and restaurants. The best attractions can also be toured by train. The largest religious monument in Alghero is the Cathedral of Our Lady of the Immaculate Conception. It is one of the largest churches in Sardinia and is considered the pearl of the island. The impressive bell tower and dome of the church are visible from afar on the city skyline. Construction began in the 10th century and took hundreds of years. The foundation is Gothic Catalan, modeled after the Cathedral of Santa Eulalia in Barcelona. Later works were inspired by the late Renaissance style. The main portal is located on the Duomo's 5th floor. The 19th century facade, in neoclassical style, resembles the structure of an ancient church. The interior is shaped like a Latin cross with 3 naves. Massive pillars and columns seem to dominate the interior. At the junction of the nave and transept, beneath the dome, stands a raised main altar made of multicolored marble. Another building in the Catalan Gothic style in Alghero is the Church of San Francesco. Its bell tower also forms a distinctive landmark in the city's skyline. The facade, emerging from the narrow streets of the old town, is very modest and austere. A small rose window and a bas-relief with the Franciscan coat of arms adorn the sandstone carving. The building is part of a complex that includes a monastery, chapel, crypt, cloisters, courtyard, and bell towers. Entrance to the complex is subject to a fee, and entry to the bell tower requires a reservation. Built in the 10th century, the church today is a blend of various architectural and decorative styles, the result of numerous renovations. The main altar, in the Rococo style, was built in the 10th century and features multicolored marble. Those looking for even more history, not only of Alghero but of all of Sardinia, should visit the Archaeological Museum. It's housed in a historic building. Over the centuries, it served as a warehouse, barracks, a prison, and even a boxing training hall. The current interiors house artifacts and reconstructions from Sardinia's past centuries. The interior itself has been adapted to accommodate exhibitions. Admittedly, it seems to have lost some of its charm. The tour is quite complex, so you'll need to pay close attention to the signs. The collection includes artifacts dating back to the first human settlements in the area, from the early Neolithic period to the post-medieval period. The exhibits illustrate the development of the island's culture and the contributions of all those who arrived by ship to its shores. For added entertainment, a pancarte, likely meant to symbolize an archaeologist, guides you through the exhibitions. The entire exhibition tells the story of the development of a civilization that for thousands of years combined sea, trade, and culture in one extraordinary place, Alghero. Did the visit to the museum captivate us? Well, as you can see, not necessarily. It could probably be presented in a more engaging way. Another prominent feature of Alghero's skyline is the impressive, multicolored dome. It belongs to the Church of San Michele. It is one of the most recognizable symbols of Alghero. The church dates back to the 10th century. However, the multicolored dome was built in 1950. It is entirely covered in maholica, hand-formed, glazed ceramic tiles arranged in an intricate, colorful, geometric pattern. Unfortunately, the church was not open to the public during our visit. Generally, we must admit that visiting Alghero's monuments is quite difficult. Many of them are open very briefly during the day, just before noon, then a little longer, in the late afternoon. Of course, we understand the siesta in southern countries, but it's quite difficult to find an open and active attraction here, because even during the specified opening hours, the place may be closed. It's unclear why. The sunset paints the Bay of Alghero with warm colors. In the background rises Cape Capoccia, majestic cliffs and caves, which we will soon visit. The air is warm and humid, heralding the energy that erupts with the night. A stroll along the Lungomare-Barcelona promenade allows you to feel the character of Alghero. The promenade, reflecting the city's Catalan history, is bustling with activity. The port is full of boats returning from their daily cruises. Now it's time for attractions on land. Entering the old town through one of the port side gates, we encounter an extraordinary mix of street sounds and smells. Artists fill the night with music, attracting a large audience. Streams of tourists flow through the narrow streets. However, there are still quiet corners to be found. We pass the Church of San Francisco, whose serene stone walls contrast with the bustle of the city's nightlife. Cafes and ice cream parlors are bustling, and the aroma of fresh sweets and local specialties hangs in the air. This is the time when restaurants fill with guests, and aromas waft through the warm evening atmosphere. We stop at one of the stalls to sample Torronut, a Sardinian nougat with roasted nuts, almonds, and dried fruit. It was delicious, so we need to buy a souvenir. In one of the squares, we encounter a musician singing the famous Sardinian song, Name du Meo. Every sound, every note, and every word seems to intertwine with the stone walls and streets, creating a unique atmosphere. You can immediately spot the Sardinians, who, knowing the lyrics, sing along to this important ballad. Did the Porta di Tor Tower bring such crowds of visitors to the old town of Alghero centuries ago? Even in September, Alghero remains warm and vibrant. Crowds of tourists and locals mingle to the rhythm of conversation, music, and laughter. After midnight, the city gradually quiets down. We need to recharge for another exciting day. It's time to venture outside Alghero. Just a few kilometers from the city, nestled among vineyards and fields, lies one of the most extraordinary places in Sardinia. Angelou Ruggiu Necropolis. This is where the earth hides traces of people who lived here 6,000 years ago. Initially, it's unclear exactly how to explore it. It's a flat field of earth and rock with numerous small and large openings. The necropolis was discovered by accident in 1903 during the construction of a vineyard. No one suspected that underfoot lie over 30 tombs dating from between 4,200 and 1800 BC. These tombs, carved into the red rock, were called domus de Janas, or fairy houses. Some say it's because of the small size of the chambers, but this is how the ancient Sardinians referred to their resting places. They resemble miniature houses for the dead. How do we visit these places? Where possible, it's simply worth entering and experiencing the extraordinary atmosphere within. Although entering and exiting isn't easy for adults. Add to this the high temperature and humidity. In short, exploring this place isn't easy. It's worth pausing for a moment and listening to what these stones have to say. The interiors are now empty, but archaeologists have also found pottery, ornaments, and tools here. The name itself is quite contemporary, derived from the name of the farmer in whose field the stone graves were discovered. Unfortunately, the vineyard had to be established elsewhere. The Angelou Necropolis is not just an archaeological heritage. It's a living story about Sardinia's origins, its spirituality, and its mysterious past. In our search for Sardinia's ancient identity, let's delve a bit deeper into the island. On a vast plain stands the monumental stone structure Nuraghi Santo Antine. It is one of the most powerful and best-preserved testimonies of Nuragic civilization. It is one of the most enigmatic and unique cultures of the ancient world. It developed in Sardinia around 1800 BC and lasted for over 1,000 years, until the arrival of the Phoenicians and Carthaginians. Its most distinctive symbols are the Nuraghis, monumental towers of enormous stones built without mortar. Today, there are over 7,000 of them on the island. The Nuragic people were farmers and shepherds. The people were organized into small, highly hierarchical communities headed by a tribal chieftain. He lived in the Nuraghi, the sacred home of the Taverchi, and a village developed around it. The subjects' dwellings were rather circular huts, with a dry stone wall at the base and a conical roof made of wood and branches or stone. The Sant'Antine is a masterpiece of this civilization. Its central tower is over 17 meters high. Spiral corridors, chambers, and mysterious passages lead inside. Around the main tower stretched an extensive complex of fortifications and a settlement. Here lived a people who worshipped the sun, water, and earth, creating pottery, tools, weapons, and statues. The Nuragic civilization did not leave behind writing, but it left behind stone, and it is this stone that speaks for them. As mentioned, Nuraghis are scattered throughout Sardinia. Traveling around the island, they emerge like roses from the landscape. We visit another one and can confidently say that with Nuraghis, each one is similar, yet each one is unique, making it worth seeing. If you don't want to venture too far from Alghero, you can visit the Primavera Nuraghi, just 10 kilometers from the city. Admission can be purchased with a combined ticket with the Angelurugu necropolis. The Primavera complex is built according to the typical pattern for these complexes, made of limestone and sandstone blocks. It consists of a central body with 2 towers and defensive oxen, as well as the village huts. The population may have reached 200. Once you've taken all the photos and videos and the tourist traffic has subsided, it's worth stopping and having this megalithic structure all to yourself. You'll certainly feel the energy of this place. Are the history seekers happy? Well, you can see. They were small. We continue our journey through northwestern Sardinia. When Łukasz learned that the Church of the Most Holy Trinity of the Spotted Cow was available in this region, he decided he had to see it for himself. We head towards the temple and finally spot it from afar, nestled amidst fields, forests, and greenery. Who would have expected a church here? Yet here stands one of Sardinia's most famous Romanesque Pisan churches, further shrouded in legend, featuring a cow as its central figure. The name is widely believed to derive from the Sardinian word for spotted cow. According to legend, during the temple's construction, a cow came here daily. She would drink milk from the monks and then kneel as if in prayer. The sculptures of 4 cows adorning the capitals of the portico pillars are a reminder of this cow. The alternating basalt and limestone facade also evokes the animal's spots. According to others, who dislike such a colorful legend, it's a Latin word meaning a holy place. In any case, a church was built that's hard to ignore. That is, of course, if you happen to be there. The church was built in 1116 by Commendalish monks on the site of a former Benedictine monastery. Although the facade captivates with its shapes and colors, the interior of the Basilica of the Holy Trinity has the very austere character of a stone building, surprising with medieval frescoes, a rarity in Romanesque churches in Sardinia. As you can see, the initiator of this visit was not disappointed after the visit. In the next part of our exploration of Sardinia, we now head towards the sea, to the famous Cape Capo Caccia. It's one of the island's most recognizable geographical landmarks, located 25 kilometers from Alghero. Cape Capo Caccia is a massive mass of limestone cliffs that rise to a height of up to 200 meters. Our goal this time, however, isn't to admire the beautiful views outside, but to see what's hidden inside this mighty mountain. Our destination is the famous Neptune's Grotto. To visit this natural wonder, you can depart from the port of Alghero on one of the cruises. You can also depart from the nearby Cala Beach. We opted for the land route, but we're not so sure if that's the easiest solution. Roddick, where are we going now? Well, listen, the situation is as it is now. It's been raining since morning, so much so that we were apprehensive about what it would be like here. Unfortunately, you can't drive up to the grotto and leave it there, but you have to leave it a bit further away, so if you had a spare hour, you're lucky. And we took advantage of it a bit because the rain stopped. And now we're approaching. You walk along the street. And how far you leave your car depends on how lucky you are. Yes, and you can always leave your car in a place like this. Oh, we'll show you in a moment. Observation point. From time to time, there are such observation points, and you can leave your car at these locations, or about 7 kilometers away at a free parking lot where a bus transfer runs every hour. Our luck was average, but still not bad. Yes, not bad. Neptune's Grotto is a very popular tourist attraction, so it's worth booking a ticket online for a specific day and time in advance. If you've already purchased tickets online, meaning you have both an entrance ticket and a timed reservation, you don't need to approach the tents. Just drive up to the tent. There will be a man who will scan the QR code and print your ticket. It's also important to note that in case of unfavorable weather, cave tours are suspended, both for those arriving from land and sea. We wait patiently until we finally ascend the wall of stairs. There are literally 654 of them. The line of visitors moves down, admiring the beautiful views. Everyone knows, however, that on the way back, we'll have to climb up. Eventually, we reach the entrance. Listen, we've arrived, but it turns out the crowds have clogged the entrance to Neptune's Grotto. Despite its enormous size, as you can see, the sheer number of tourists is enough to overwhelm it, so we wait in line. Yes, at least there's a guy there, and we can refresh ourselves a bit. You can begin to contemplate, if only you can forget about the crowds here. But the charm of this place is so captivating that you quickly forget about others. Towards the end, we'll share one more practical piece of advice. Neptune's Grotto was created approximately 2 million years ago. It was discovered in the 10th century. The cave's interior is approximately 4 kilometers long, of which the section open to the public is several hundred meters long. Right after the entrance, the saltwater Lake Marmora captivates all visitors with its charm. We reach another chamber of the ruins, so named because of the destruction wreaked by tourists in the 19th century. For about 150 years after the cave's discovery, locals organized private excursions featuring music and dance. The next stop is the so-called Sala della Regia. The lake's waters reflect colossal calcite columns, rising 9 meters to the ceiling as if supporting it. A moment later, we see a stalagmite formation known as the Christmas tree. It's probably clear why. In the center of the large, 18-meter-high hall is a formation called the Great Organ. It's the cave's most impressive column, with pipes resembling organ pipes. Continuing along the path, we reach the dome of the Stalagmite Formation, with perfectly smooth walls connected to the ceiling by a column above. Climbing to its summit, the significantly lowered ceiling allows for admiring the smallest details. The tour concludes at the so-called Tribuna della Musica, a balcony offering a panoramic view of the cave. An orchestra once played here during events, and visitors danced on the small beach below. For now, it's all ours. We're giving you a tip. Be at the very end of this queue. This way, you'll have the entire cave to yourself. Incredible. The sea level was once much higher, as evidenced by the marks on the cave walls. Back then, seals would swim in here, finding safe haven. With the number of tourists today, this would be completely impossible. And even then, the seals that came to the area were often hunted, hence the name Capo Caccia, meaning hunting cape. The cave is visited by an average of 150,000 tourists a year, and those who come from the mainland have to climb the famous steps we've already seen. In the sun and this temperature, stops are often necessary. Our story about the northwestern region of Sardinia cannot fail to include a visit to one of the most unique towns. We're moving to the very north of the island. It's a Sardinian gem. Time for a visit to the town of Castelsardo. Picturesque houses perched on a hill with a castle are a common feature in Sardinia's postcard promotions. We climbed as high as we could on our journey. The tight, narrow streets offered limited parking, and the large number of tourists made things even more difficult. However, once we reach the hill, it's worth taking a leisurely stroll through the town's charming nooks and crannies. The history of Castelsardo, like all Sardinia's small and large towns, tells the story of an island that has seen the passing of numerous civilizations. The first inhabitants arrived thousands of years before our era. Over time, the Phoenicians discovered the island, establishing coastal trading settlements. Later came the Carthaginians, and then the Romans. After the fall of Rome, the island fell successively to the Vandals, and then the Byzantines. Independent principalities emerged in the Middle Ages. From the 14th century on, power was seized by the Aragonese, and later by the Spanish. After them came the rule of the Cebalto dynasty, and in the 19th century, Sardinia became part of United Italy. However, the Sardinians still retain a significant cultural distinctiveness from mainland Italy. We begin our tour of Castelsardo with its most important monument, the castle, a fortified medieval structure built in the 10th century. The origins of this castle, and indeed the entire town, are linked to the influential Doria family from Genoa. A castle settlement was formed on the slopes of a volcanic hill, which over time transformed into a town. A short guidebook in Polish provides a pleasant start to the castle tour. However, we quickly realize that the entire interior of the castle consists of just a few rooms. A museum of Mediterranean basketry has also been established here. The art of weaving baskets and other structures from reeds and palm leaves is an example of a centuries-old Sardinian craft. Fossonis fishing boats, also crafted from reeds for centuries, are also on display. Such structures still float on the Sardinian freshwaters of the Sinus Peninsula. The best part of the castle is climbing to the very top and admiring the view. From here, there's a magnificent view of the sea and the city. Visiting the building itself is a bit disappointing, as the castle looks impressive from the outside, but there's little to see inside. Walking through the streets of Castelsardo, we reach the most important church here, the Cathedral of San Antonio Abate. Built in the 15th century, the cathedral rises on a 250-meter high slope, blending into the rocky outcrop. It's impressive. Inside, it's a modest but massive stone structure. You can descend to the museum in the crypt. Next to the cathedral stands the distinctive bell tower, built in the 18th century. It's a striking feature of Castelsardo, especially thanks to its dome covered with colorful Majolica tiles. The cathedral's bell tower was originally a lighthouse. We visit another famous church from the turn of the 13th and 14th centuries. It's the Church of Santa Maria della Grazia, or Our Lady of Grace. The building also blends perfectly with the stone architecture of the castle hill. It has this character both from the outside and inside, revealing its small, unassuming interior. The narrow streets create a labyrinthine atmosphere. One could happily wander endlessly, constantly discovering charming nooks and crannies. Or sit down to relax and enjoy the views, soaking up the atmosphere. The walls reflect the warmth of the day, and the scent of the sea mingles with the aroma of fresh coffee. How did you like it? Fantastic! A beautiful town. You must visit Castelsardo if you're dreaming. The charm of Castelsardo is unforgettable. It's common knowledge that Sardinia is famous for its fine wine, but it has also been renowned for centuries for the production of wine corks. The island accounts for approximately 2/3 of Italian cork production, with the Gallura region at its heart. Companies export corks worldwide. Cork oaks mature slowly. Only after 25 years can they be debarked for the first time. This is called male cork. However, it is this second harvest, and subsequent harvests after the bark has regrown, that yield the actual raw material, the female cork. The process is carried out every 9 years, always in summer. This same rhythm repeats throughout the entire life cycle, which can last up to 100 years. Besides corks, the material is also used to produce insulation, souvenirs, cutting boards, and even handbags. The trees are never cut down. On the contrary, after each peeling, they begin to grow back, even stronger and healthier. In the north of the island, we are now heading to a place where trees are scarce. Instead, there is plenty of sand and crystal clear water. Those seeking an expensive beach holiday in a fashionable spot must visit one of the most famous beaches not only in Sardinia or all of Italy, but also in the world. Our destination is the famous La Pelosa Beach, but getting there isn't easy, so we take it one step at a time. Following the line of cars, we reach this famous spot. We circle the local streets several times, returning to the same spots again, trying to find a free parking space. This is practically impossible. Of course, every parking space costs money. Finally, when we do manage to find one, we can enjoy these heavenly views. La Pelosa Beach owes its great reputation to the clear sea, shimmering in shades of blue, emerald, and turquoise, as well as its fine white sand and very gentle entrance to the water. The beach is flanked by the surrounding islands, Pelosa with its 15th century Aragonese Tower, Piana Island, and Asinara Island. As you can see, it's difficult to find a patch of this beautiful sand for sunbathing. La Pelosa is besieged by crowds of tourists, and getting there isn't easy. To protect nature and maintain order, a reservation system and daily visitor limit have been implemented. The beach is accessible to 1,500 people per day during the season from May 15th to October 15th. 1,000 spaces can be reserved 48 hours before the planned day of your visit. 500 spaces can be reserved indefinitely. Entry costs €3.50 per person. Each reservation can accommodate a maximum of 4 people. Are these all the restrictions? No, you can't place a towel directly on the sand on the beach. You must use a special mat, and only then can you place your towel on it. The idea is to prevent sand from being carried away on towels. The mat requirement is monitored. Failure to bring one will result in a fine. If you happen to not have a special mat in your luggage on your Sardinian beach, you must simply purchase one before entering the beach. You can cleverly circumvent this rule by purchasing a sun lounger under an umbrella. However, this will cost significantly more, up to €40 for 2 spaces during the season. In short, the sunny paradise of La Pelosa can be a dazzling place. However, when you see the crowds on the beach, the lack of relaxation, and count all the expenses associated with a stay there, you might be struck by the thought that perhaps sunbathing isn't necessary here. Sardinia's coastline is almost 1,900 kilometers long, and you'll find almost 800 beaches around the island, so there's plenty to choose from. You'll likely find an even better vacation somewhere. We'll suggest such places in the next installments of our Sardinia series. It's time to say goodbye to northwestern Sardinia. Behind us is Alghero, where Spanish heritage can still be heard in the language, seen in the architecture, and felt in the air. Millions of years of rock carving by water and time have created a mysterious labyrinth in Neptune's grotto. Beneath the earth lies another world. Jesus. We've traveled back thousands of years to the Angeluruggiu necropolis. We've already discovered the first Nuraghis, symbols of Sardinia. Roddick, where are you? We were captivated by Castelsardo, a town woven with narrow streets and sighs of delight. Stairs, and more. It was also worth seeing what this world-famous star looks like in person among the beaches of La Pelosa. The remaining parts of our Sardinia trip will bring you even more excitement. So, shall we continue exploring? Yes, in which we show you the island's individual regions and its greatest attractions. Give us a thumbs up and let us know if you like Sardinia. It's an incredible attraction, that's for sure. See you soon. Welcome to our Sardinian journey. In this episode, we'll show you the city of Olbia and the beaches of the eastern coast. We'll cruise the Gulf of Orosei, peer into the graves of giants, and discover the famous Sardinian song. We continue our 2-week journey through Sardinia. We're moving on to the east coast.
Welcome to the east coast of Sardinia. Together, we'll visit the beautiful sights of this region of the island.
We begin our exploration of Sardinia's east coast in the city of Olbia, a city with a 1,000-year history and a vibrant spirit. Olbia is called the gateway to Sardinia. It's here that one of the island's largest passenger ports is located, easily accessible from the Italian peninsula. Olbia also has an international airport, one of 3, where you can begin your Sardinia adventure from Poland. The very name Olbia, from the Greek word for happy, sounds like a promise. Olbia has attracted many cultures and peoples for centuries: Phoenicians, Greeks, Romans, Pisans, and Spaniards. Today, Olbia attracts thousands of tourists. However, a significant number of them use Olbia as a jumping-off point for other destinations. Many depart from here for Sardinia's Emerald Coast. During the day, Olbia's main streets are not overly crowded. Corso Uberto Primo is the main street in the town center. This pedestrian street is a must-see for anyone arriving in Olbia. Along it are bars, cafes, and some of the most interesting sights to see. Piazza Regina Margherita, the town's main square, is located on Corso Umberto Primo. It resembles a market square. Another charming, slightly smaller square with a magnificent fountain is Piazza di Como Matteotti. Turning off the main promenade, we arrive at the charming Church of St. Paul the Apostle. The dome of the church tower, covered with maholica, specially glazed multicolored tiles, a decoration found in many places in Sardinia, is particularly noteworthy. Depending on your itinerary, Corso Umberto Primo begins or ends at the port of Olbia. Boats from the smallest to the largest dock here. If you're arriving by car, there's also a large parking lot here. A scenic promenade has been created along the waterfront. There's also an archaeological museum on the waterfront. It houses collections recovered from shipwrecks and Roman mosaics. Unfortunately, it was closed. Once again, we have to complain a bit about places to visit in Sardinia. They're often only open a few hours a day, and sometimes closed for some unknown reason. We had better luck visiting the main church of Olbia. You'll have to deviate a bit from the main promenade, but it's only a few minutes' walk. Right next to the impressive square is the Basilica of San Simplicio. Dedicated to the city's patron saint, Saint Simplicius, the church, built of granite in the Romanesque style, stands proudly on a hill where an early Christian necropolis once stood. The church dates back to the 10th century, although significant work was also carried out there in the 10th century. The small bell tower on the right is a Spanish relic. There's a fee to visit the basilica, though we're glad it was accessible. The interior is a stark stone structure with a wooden ceiling. It consists of a nave and 2 side aisles separated by columns and pillars. In the center of the apse are 2 damaged frescoes depicting Saint Simplicius and Victor of Fossani. You can go down to the church to see the necropolis. At the end of the day, we decided to venture a little further from the city center. A few kilometers from Olbia, we arrived at Spargi Saline Beach. We basked in the setting sun. Even on such a busy beach during the day, you can find peace at sunset and spontaneously organize a small picnic for dinner. Silence, sea, nature. A few Sardinian delicacies are a perfect way to end the day. Meanwhile, in the center of Olbia, tourists from the region return to the city and enjoy its delights. This is when you can truly feel its vastness. Restaurants are bustling with activity. Thousands pass by at the Corsamberto Primo Bird Sanctuary. Smells, shouts, and loud conversations waft from everywhere. You can listen to street musicians, but they'll have to work hard to dominate the hustle and bustle. Those who enjoy the vibrant energy of fashionable seaside resorts will find their place here perfectly. Located slightly off the beaten track, the Basilica of San Simplicio offers respite from the crowds. You can still find quiet corners in the streets. Carousels for young and old are now a must-see in popular tourist towns. Olbia, one of the most important centers of northern Sardinia, is a city brimming with energy, yet rooted in its past. A city that welcomes, yet bids farewell, and continues to encourage return. Olbia is also a great base for us. If you're on the eastern coast of Sardinia, many consider its beaches to be the most beautiful. North of Olbia lies the famous and fashionable Emerald Coast, but you'll also find beautiful spots south of the city. To begin with, we head for Spiaggia di Porto Taverna, a beach located near the town of Sanadoro. It's essentially a narrow strip of sand surrounded by hills covered with Mediterranean vegetation. Fine, light sand, a calm sea, shallow water stretching far into the depths. And those shades of blue and turquoise. The beach is about 1 kilometer long. Here, you can use the small infrastructure or simply enjoy the views. And everyone's attention wanders towards this monumental structure. This is the island of Taolara, one of the symbols of Sardinia. 4 kilometers long and 560 meters high, it is considered the smallest kingdom in the world. In the 19th century, King Albert of Saxony arrived on the island. He found a sole inhabitant there, so he named him its king. To this day, this Taolara belongs to the king's descendants. The idol of this smallest kingdom was shattered in the 1960s when a NATO base was built there. For this reason, the royal family only owns half the island. You can sail to Taolara on one of the many tourist cruises. Remaining on Porto Taverna beach, you can admire the beautiful nature that has retained its charm despite the tourist traffic. As you can see, just beyond the beach stretches the lagoon. Waterfowl are often spotted here, especially flamingos. They are Sardinia's pride and joy. They can be found in several spots on the island, in shallow lagoons where they have ideal living conditions. In recent years, the population has been steadily increasing. Protection of wetlands is paying off. The flamingo's color, usually pink, but here a slightly whitish gray, indicates their age. They are not initially born pink. This coloration develops as they mature due to their diet rich in crustaceans, which causes their pink color. Encouraged by the beautiful views, we set off to visit other famous beaches on Sardinia's eastern coast. Here we are, the beaches of Puntoldia and Lainta, very popular with families due to their ideal conditions for swimming in calm waters, strolling, and admiring the beautiful views and Sardinian nature. Lasta Beach stretches for over 4 kilometers. It's separated from the mainland by a wide strip of dunes and vegetation, as well as another lagoon. Birdlife, including flamingos, is also common here. The beach is large enough to accommodate everyone, and despite the high demand, as you can see, you can also find more secluded spots. In search of even more natural beaches, coves, and more secluded spots, we'll show you another charming piece of Sardinia's eastern mainland. Something for those who prefer a more intimate atmosphere. We're a few kilometers south of San Teodoro. A short hike awaits us along the first trail, some of it also through dense vegetation. I'm not sure if we're on the right track, but it's getting interesting, right? It seems to be a good thing. However, a few tourists give us signs that we're heading in the right direction. This is Punta La Greca Beach. The area is divided into several small coves. Surrounded by Mediterranean vegetation and a view of Tavelar, you can admire this coastline in a small group. As you can see, the Sardinian coast offers both more and less crowded beach spots. Is it worth visiting only the beautiful beaches when you're in eastern Sardinia? Of course, we're not. Heading inland. The landscape changes from the popular tourist resorts to the quieter side, where nature reigns supreme. And amidst this landscape, small towns appear every now and then. Our destination is the town of Bidi, located in the Barbadia region. Peace, small houses and townhouses, warmed by the southern sun. It's a nice break from the crowds. We soak up the atmosphere. The town has fewer than 3,000 inhabitants. Wandering its narrow streets, you could literally get lost here. I have a feeling we're getting a little lost in these alleys. Sometimes I'm exaggerating when I say get lost in the alleys, but you can really find something here. Okay, let's go here. Bidi is a member of the Club of Italy's most authentic villages. It's charming, isn't it? So peaceful, it's almost like silence. And why are we here? In addition to this unique atmosphere, a famous folk song museum has been created here, combined with a museum of agriculture and pastoralism. Finding this museum is a challenge. Don't rely on Google Maps. There's an arrow pointing in every direction. We wander through the narrow streets, trying to find it, which isn't so easy. Oh, I think I'm on the right track. We'll have to go back. A tip. Okay. We reach the end of our walk. It's probably here, and unfortunately, we encounter a closed door. We've already commented that, as is often the case in Sardinia, popular places are simply closed, and there's no point in looking for a reason. But suddenly, an elderly woman appears, smiling, emerging from one of the tenement houses, welcoming us in, and speaking incessantly in Italian. After a while, we stop trying to convince ourselves that we don't necessarily speak the language well. Somehow, we manage to buy tickets, and the woman shows us around with undisguised enthusiasm and pride. The museum here showcases the famous canto a tenore, a tenor canto, a style of polyphonic Sardinian folk singing. UNESCO has recognized canto a tenore as an intangible cultural heritage. The word tenor should not be confused with the tenor voice. The presentation is presented on 4 large screens, each corresponding to 4 singers. These, standing opposite each other, form a vocal circle. Each singer is responsible for one of 4 voices: boga, basso contra, and masaboga. Without delving into professional musical descriptions, but speaking of sensations, according to folk tradition, the masaboga imitates the sound of the wind against the bleating of sheep, and the basso the mooing of a cow. Using a console in the center of the circle, we select specific regions and groups. Then, the singers appear on the screens. Of course, the singing is a combination of 4 voices, but each screen can be turned on or off to listen in detail to just the one we choose. The songs describe moments of everyday life in the agricultural, livestock, and artisan worlds, but they also include love songs, religious songs, and satirical songs. The singing of canto a tenore may seem very peculiar at first, because it's something completely new. After a moment of familiarization, we begin to perceive the singer's emotions. It is a unique, still living Sardinian heritage. Many groups sing throughout the island of Cantu a Tenor. It's fantastic. Right next door, in the same building, there's also a museum of agriculture and pastoralism, modest in appearance, but incredibly rich in content. Here, you can see what the daily lives of the island's ancient inhabitants were like before Sardinia became a tourist paradise. The exhibition takes place in a house with typical regional architecture, with thick walls, wooden beams, and cool interiors that provided shelter from the heat. Reconstructed are the former farmhouses, including kitchens with hearths, bedrooms, pantries, and a workshop. You can see the process of baking Sardinian bread, pan caraseo, or the production of cheese and dried meats. Everything was done to provide the shepherds with food that would last a long time. Here, you can see wool processing tools, horse harnesses, and bells that still resonate on the island. The museum tells the story of identity, roots, and the work that shaped the people of Sardinia for generations. Visitors are impressed. Both museums here are delightful. We were only expecting one about Sardinian singing, but it turns out you can visit 2 here, and we were delighted with them. Now we'll be thrilled when we manage to get to the car. The museum was truly multimedia. I'm impressed. There was such an atmosphere. This small town doesn't have to create this atmosphere. The ladies' hospitality was also impressive. And Mrs. Vlad, without any of that, welcomed us like guests in her own home. 5 minutes with this lady, and you can speak Italian. Or so you think. She said she wouldn't say a word in English, but if she spoke Italian slowly, we'd understand everything. It turned out we did. She was amazing. She created an atmosphere. There were emotions. Here in Viti, you feel the true Sardinia, an island of tradition, work, and song. It's a reminder that Sardinia is not just beaches and sea, but also mountains, pastures, and the eternal cycles of nature. We set off on our journey, still contemplating the idyllic views of eastern central Sardinia. Peaceful, soothing to the eyes, vast green landscapes. Along the way, we pass more Nuraghis, reminders of Sardinia's ancient history. We told you more about them in the other parts of our Sardinia series. We're heading to a place that is another testament to Sardinia's history. In the Nuoro region stands one of the best preserved monuments of prehistoric Sardinia. Parking is located some distance from our destination. We reach the actual site on foot. Finally, we come face to face with the Tomba di Giganti, or Tomb of the Giants. This is the Sardinians' name for such places. This is the most famous of them, Sene tombs. The site was founded around 1800 to 1600 BC. First, a nearly 4-meter high stele appears before everyone. A funerary monument carved from a single block of granite weighs 7 tons. A small opening at the bottom symbolizes the entrance to the afterlife, but in reality, it leads to the actual chamber, measuring 11 meters. Where does the name Giant's Tomb come from? According to legend, these places were used by enormous beings due to their size. In reality, they were a mass burial site. Was it a mass grave for the entire village, or reserved for a single class? Many questions remain unanswered. The monstrous granite blocks have been here for millennia. Many consider this place to have a unique impact. These are, of course, subjective impressions. However, it's worth entering the Giant's Tomb and experiencing the emanation of ancient energy for yourself. Time for another day of adventures in Sardinia. In the morning, we arrive in the town of Cala Gonone. This former fishing village once served as a port for shipping timber, coal, and cheese to the Pennine Peninsula. Today, it's a popular tourist destination. It's a charming little town in itself, and you can spend some time soaking up the wonderful views. The place combines seaside pleasures with trekking routes and mountain trails leading through Sardinia's highest mountains, the Gennarento. Maritime attractions await us. We arrive at the port of Cala Gonone. It's been busy since the early morning hours. Skippers prepare the boats, and tourists gather at their designated spots. Here we meet Polish man Tomek Lebijic, who has decided to dedicate his life to Sardinia. We'd already found his company, Adventure Madness, and taken care of the formalities. Tomek Lebijic is a well-known tour operator in Sardinia. He loves expeditions and adrenaline, and greets all passengers with the openness of a good friend. It's clear this is the beginning of an exciting trip. He's an admiral. We meet the other members of our team. From the very beginning, Tomek Lebijic, with a broad smile, explains the route, attractions, the itinerary, and, of course, the safety regulations. The rules on the boat are: first, we don't get off while the boat is underway. Tomek's directness encourages everyone, and the small group provides the comfort of a private cruise. Infected by our captain's good mood, we set off, ready for adventure. The boat picks up speed, and waves splash against the sides. The Gulf of Orosei opens up before us. Narrow beaches, caves, and coves seem inaccessible. Some are. From the boat's deck, we can see steep cliffs. Some reach up to 400 meters, and at their feet, the water shimmers in shades of turquoise and emerald. We pass the first caves, dark openings in the rocks, leaking shade and coolness. We approach some of them. This is the entrance to the Grotta del Bue Marino. It may look inconspicuous at first, but it is the longest cave in Sardinia. It is almost 20 kilometers long, and less than a kilometer is open to visitors. You can take a separate cruise here to go inside. The cave takes its name from the Mediterranean seal, which inhabited the area until the mid-20th century. We also approach smaller, yet charming, formations. This is the Grotto of the Virgin Mary. Where does the name come from? Because inside, you can spot a tiny altar. Tomek Lebijic gives us engaging stories about each of these places. Every now and then, between the caves and grottos, a narrow strip of white sand reveals itself. Small beaches clinging to the rocks. This is Cala dei Gabbiani. Time for a beach break. Our captain always pulls us as close to the beach as possible and gives us time to ourselves. Time for blissful relaxation. If anyone asks what our Admiro is doing while we're sunbathing, he's eating a regenerating meal to gain the strength to continue steering the boat and answering our sometimes silly questions. Keen tourists keep a watchful eye on the local slopes.
We find a warning on this beach that these rocks could still break off and fall. Here you can see that the area along the cliffs right next to it has been rocked. Unfortunately, although the beach is very wide, you can literally relax on a narrow strip, about 3 meters long, and the staff here are very careful not to cross it. And while sitting here, you can hear pebbles falling every now and then. So it's really best not to cross it.
Other tourists have decided to explore the underwater world. It's time for the next stages of the cruise. We continue our journey. The little boat is a lot of fun, and as you can see, our captain loves adrenaline and believes we do too. Of course, we do. The icon of the entire Cala Goloritzé appears before us. We observe it from the water. Admission to the beach is an additional fee, and the daily limit of visitors is 250. The beach is distinguished by a limestone rock rising from the sea, over 140 meters high. This is a Gullia. If you're wondering, yes, you can climb it. Tomek Lebijic, however, points out another interesting spot. A
very tiring day. A very tiring day.
Small caves, just perfect for swimming. We can't miss out. At first, it seems that only the first section of the caves is accessible. But the sea's swell reveals further sections. You can only move into them when the tide recedes. Inside, the experience is indescribable. The air pressure as the cave closes fills your ears, and you're happy with a peak endorphin level. It's not for everyone, but those who dare will have an unforgettable experience. A little terrifying, but incredible. Time for another few moments on the boat. As if to calm down, but on this cruise, forget about boredom. The next item on the program awaits. Well, they didn't throw us off the ship. The captain is there.
Oh, good. Now we're sure the dive won't go away.
But this time in a completely dark cave. For the brave and good swimmers. Tomek grabs a flashlight to point out the spots in the highlight. There's the opportunity to dive and swim through a tunnel under a large boulder. The flashlight's beam shows us the way. Adrenaline is racing. With all the excitement, as you can see, even our equipment gave out, and we only have photos from this feat.
We've just left the cave. Listen, leave all those crowded beaches full of tourists. Just choose a porthole where you can paddle in for one of these rides. This is quite an adventure. We recommend it.
After setting off, our emotions are still buzzing. Tomek is in a great mood, and neither are we. Places like this make each of us feel like explorers for a moment. Time for another rest on the boat. We continue to admire this landscape. The bay isn't just about views. Look at these rocks. It's history written in nature, layer upon layer, like a geological chronicle of time. Time to visit another beach. We disembark at Cala Mariolu, a place where tiny white pebbles sparkle like pearls in the sun. But here, too, you can clearly see how crowded these beaches can be, despite their inaccessibility. Now you can understand why smaller, more intimate cruises are such a great advantage. On these large ships, you can feel like a sardine in Sardinia. Relaxed tourists, on the other hand, can't resist a dip in the wonderful water. It's wonderful, especially during the high season, which lasts even into September. It's hard to find a clear stretch of beach, but it's also hard to find a stretch of water free from tourists. But as you can see, there are a lot of ships here, and everyone just sailed to this beach, and we also say hello to the whole group we came with. Exactly. And also to Tome, who is our captain.
Captain or Admiral?
Admiral, something like that. A pleasant surprise on this cruise was that among the passengers were viewers of our channel. It's special to spend some time on the trip together with those who watch the Łukasz and Rodek channel. Discovering the local beach gems is never boring. Finally, we've left a showcase of the local Bay of Orosei, and indeed of Sardinia as a whole. It's worth noting that the order in which you visit the local caves and beaches can vary each time. Something difficult to describe in words unfolds before our eyes. So, to begin with, just 2 words, Cala Luna. A beach of light, fine sand nestled between steep cliffs, with a row of individual caves that look like a cathedral carved by the sea. You can enter each of the caves and feel their incredible power. A practical tip is that, as you approach the beach from the boat mooring point, each subsequent cave will have fewer and fewer tourists. But each one is increasingly difficult to access. The tourists here are countless. Yet, the place remains magical. The name suggests it's a lunar bay. But it's definitely not as beautiful on the moon. As the boat heads towards the port, the sun slowly sets. We're all tired but happy. It was a day full of excitement, water, sun, and adventure. It will remain one of those places you'll revisit long after returning from Sardinia. And here we conclude another installment of our Sardinian journey. This time, we explored the coastal town of Olbia. Get off the main road. It's a treat after a long day in the sun. Give it another chance. The famous beaches of the East Coast. There's nothing like a little sand on our Baltic Sea, right? And they say fine sand. You'll need Rodek here. Rodek, come here, because this is the role for you. A little terrified, we entered the giant's tomb. However, we were eager to try the famous Sardinian chant, Cantu a Tenor. We bid you farewell from the unique Cala Luna beach, and invite you to the remaining parts of our Sardinian trip. We promise no less excitement and more fascinating places in Sardinia. It won't be easy for a moment.
Okay, tell me how I should pose, because I'm not. Don't worry, the pedicure is included.
See you soon. Welcome to our Sardinian journey. In this episode, we'll take you on a cruise through the Maddalena Archipelago. There will be beautiful islands, sunny beaches, lots of smiles, and delicious food. How was it? Cool, cool, cool. Mr. Antonio Projak, oh, a true Sardinian sailor. Think of a place from thousands of years ago. Where history speaks the ancient language of stones. Think of an island that has attracted sailors and dreamers for centuries. Think of music that captures the heart. Imagine its inhabitants living in harmony with nature. Imagine an island wild, beautiful, and authentic. Imagine the people captivated by this place. Listen, we're sailing away. I don't know if you know. Experience an adventure in the depths, underground, on land and at sea. Experience encounters that remain in the heart. Experience a history that endures. And a present that captivates with warmth. Think of all this. Think of Sardinia. And join us on a journey to this extraordinary island. Sardinia. Oh, so many positive emotions. It's truly amazing. Now it's time to eat. Part 3. La Maddalena. A tour of the archipelago. We continue our 2-week journey through Sardinia. We're on the eastern coast of the island. Palal. Once a small settlement, now a small town. It's known primarily as the gateway to the La Maddalena Archipelago. This is where it's closest to the main islands. You can also spend more time here, exploring the town and the surrounding areas. For us, Port Palal is the starting point for a maritime adventure. A beautiful sunny morning in the town of Palal, and another Riachi lies ahead. And what will it be this time? This time, we're taking a cruise around the La Maddalena Islands with Ewelina. We wait patiently until Ewelina Valencia Quera shows up. We found a Polish woman who has lived in Sardinia for many years while preparing for the trip. As you can see, this trip is for everyone, young and old. Families with children are also welcome. It's a full-day trip, but it's worth remembering to bring only the most essentials, as they'll be easier to carry. First, we'll be transferred to the main boat in a sport dinghy. You can find Ewelina on social media under the name Poka na Sardini, Polish woman in Sardinia. She started her family here, so you could say she's already half Polish, half Sardine. Before we even head out to sea, we'll start with a welcome chat. Hello everyone, my name is Ewelina. I'm sure I won't remember your names at first, so I'll be calling you by your clothes, so please don't undress. As you've noticed, Ewelina and I are on first name terms, as that's how we've addressed each other on the ship from the very beginning. Ewelina's openness, directness, and humor make you feel like she's been a longtime friend. We learn the rules of the boat, the layout of the rooms available to us, the itinerary, and, of course, the entire crew. What's nice for us is that once again during our Sardinian expedition, we're meeting our viewers here, Łukasz and Rodek, who know the channel. We send them our warmest regards. All this has created a cheerful, friendly, and cooperative atmosphere in Lodz from the very beginning.
We've already boarded. We're sailing with Ms. Ewelina and the rest of the crew. Correction, Ewelina. And we've already changed names. So, we're sailing. The surroundings are beautiful. Every now and then, an island comes into view. Well, that's a real treat for Maddalena. We have many islands and cities ahead of us. We'll see what happens. For now, it's just the Maddalena itself. Impressive. Everything is there. And what? There will be some food too. There will be food too. Alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages are available for guests, so we're very happy.
And Łukasz is waiting to see what the local chef will prepare. The Maddalena Archipelago stretches along the northern tip of Sardinia, between the island and Corsica. It's a group of over 60 islands and islets, 7 of which are the largest: La Maddalena, Caprera, Santo Stefano, Spargi, Budelli, Ricoli, and Santa Maria. The entire archipelago forms La Maddalena National Park. The area is renowned for its crystal clear waters and extraordinary natural diversity. Beneath the sea lie submerged caves and rock formations, providing shelter to hundreds of species of fish, turtles, and rocks carved by wind, and sea salt jet out at every turn. The Maddalena Archipelago is a symbol of what is most precious in Sardinia: clean sea, rugged nature, and a respect for nature, which still reigns supreme here. Our magnificent boat always stops a short distance from the places we plan to visit. Ewelina provides detailed information about each destination.
Don't be fooled, as a pedicure is included.
And limits our available time. We travel from the boat to our destination by pontoon. The first of the islands we visit comes into view. It's a deserted granite island rising from the sea. It has an area of just over 4 square kilometers. Small bays dot the shores, as the center slopes upwards. We reach a picturesque bay with a beach called Cagliari. A cozy beach with fine sand and crystalline waters. The name comes from the small fish that come here to spawn. The bay is sheltered from the wind by rocks and vegetation. We spend time here among juniper and rosemary. From a distance, it's clear that this place is actually 2 sister bays, one sandy, the other rocky. One is Cala Conneri, and the other is Cala de l'Amor. After relaxing on the beach, we return to the ship. Passengers ask about other places worth visiting. And what about the local area, with its more wild, intimate beaches?
Where are they?
Ewelina knows the local area very well, but she recommends Alicja Stolarczyk's comprehensive beach guide.
Alizzia's guidebooks are the best in Sardinia. That's right. Messi Edge owns or bought one.
He bought it, not read it.
Greetings to Alicja, a famous Sardinia enthusiast. This is one of many guidebooks created by Alicja. Anyone who wants to explore Sardinia should read it, and even better, get to know Alicja Stolarczyk. And we meet Alicja in person in the next part of our Sardinia trip. It's time for Sardinian snacks. Next, we have typical Sardinian flavored snacks. Throughout the cruise, you'll have soft drinks and Sardinian beer available. Delicious snacks appear every now and then. You really won't want for anything. And if you do decide you need something, Ewelina will surely have it on her boat. On the upper deck, if anyone wants to experience what it's like to operate such a boat, they're welcome to do so. The captain gives us that opportunity for a moment. And more experiences etched into our memories. Meanwhile, another beach reveals itself before us. As always, the boat docks a short distance away, and we arrive by motor dinghy. This is Cala Corsara, located on the island of Spargi. Another tiny sandy patch of this island, surrounded by rocks and aromatic vegetation. Cala Corsara beach is sparse. However, Ewelina warned us that wild boars might be spotted here. We didn't want any problems, and we also have our Polish wild boars, but we're a bit disappointed they're not showing up. We could check out the Sardinian ones. So, all that's left is a peaceful, blissful rest. And if anyone gets tired of this rest, they can try their hand at supboards, which we also got from Ewelina. Those with some experience can shine. For the rest of us, it looks rather clumsy.
Oh, look. Well, I'm stabilizing you, now you can stand up. First, like this, good. Luck.
Because this isn't so. After all this activity and energy expenditure, it's time to replenish your calories. Time for the main meal, which is what Łukasz had been waiting for most of the cruise. Everything was prepared by the captain, Ewelina's husband. First up, the first part of the meal, appetizers. As you can see, served on Sardinian cork boards. We'll talk about cork in the first part of our Sardinia trip. And Ewelina herself tells us what we'll be eating for appetizers. On the table, we have classic bruschetta with tomato, bruschetta with spicy gorgonzola, and appetizers with honey.
Mortadella, long-aged pork neck, smoked ham, pork neck, salami, and speck. Here, we have cubed fumicata from Camorca. It's a snowman-shaped cheese, and this one is smoked in long-aged Sardinian Pecorino Sardo's cheese. There are also sun-dried tomatoes, eggplant, spicy peppers stuffed with tuna, olives, artichokes, and here we have the thinnest type of Sardinian bread, pergamena, also flavored with rosemary. Sardinian white Vermentino wine. Enjoy! Can anyone get anything else to drink besides the wine?
As you can see, this could be a meal in itself. And that's just the beginning. Time for the main course. It's pasta with tuna and lime. The combination may seem surprising, but the flavor is outstanding. We also learn that although grated Parmesan cheese appears on the table, Sardinians, and Italians in general, don't use it with seafood pasta, and don't even like it when others do. We, however, can't resist the aromatic Parmesan. Besides, we're already arguing with the Italians about the Hawaiian pizza. After our meal, we also have to give treats to our winged friends, who couldn't wait to be fed by Ewelina throughout our dinner. Some of the birds even have names. After dinner, as you saw a moment ago, the seagulls also received their portion from Ewelina. And now they've received fish, which has led to them gathering in large numbers around the ship. See how it looks from the water, because Łukasz actually had to dive in to show you what it's like. Right there, under the ship. And there's quite a commotion there too. Meanwhile, our boat is approaching more and more land in the Maddalena Archipelago. This is the moment when we're allowed to decide what we want to do next. We can stay on the boat, we can visit the nearby islet of Isolotto Roma, or we can sail to La Maddalena Island. Without hesitation, Roddick is soon setting sail with Senior Antonio. This time, the goal isn't a mooring at sea or the small harbor, but a large passenger and commercial port. So listen, the situation now is such that Ewelina, if you really want, can modify the program, which is prepared for this event. Most of the group decided they didn't want to show up in the town, but rather visit another island, another beach. And we really wanted to see what this town of La Maddalena was like, even if only here in this harbor area. You'll only see what it looks like with me, because Łukasz stayed on one of the islands, and I'll see what's in the port. La Maddalena is the only permanently inhabited island in the archipelago of the same name. Around 11,000 people live here. Life in the town of La Maddalena, which shares its name with the island and the entire archipelago, revolves around the port. Throughout the town, you'll often encounter images of Giuseppe Garibaldi, a national hero who played a key role in the unification of Italy in the 19th century and who spent the last 26 years of his life on the neighboring islet of Caprera. His grave is also located there. A column commemorates the commander Giuseppe Garibaldi, with his bust incorporated into a commemorative plaque. Nearby is another monument to Domenico Mill, who gained fame defending La Maddalena against Napoleon's forces, and ultimately saved La Maddalena from capture. The waterfront in La Maddalena has the atmosphere of a small port town. Boats, skippers, tourists, and rocky streets leading off into the interior, small townhouses, cafes, and seafood bars. Near the port, you can also visit the Church of St. Mary Magdalene. Next to the church is a museum where you can learn more about La Maddalena and the visit of British Admiral Nelson, who stationed his fleet here before the Battle of Trafalgar. Of course, we regret that we didn't have more time to explore the town and the island. We could have spent 2 or 3 days here, but we have to get back to our boat and check out what those who chose to visit Isolotto Roma are doing. It's literally a piece of land. There are many rocks covered with low vegetation. On the island's outskirts are micro coves with small beaches. You can walk around it or lie on the beach. On the islet stands the I Caduti della Coracata Roma monument, a monument dedicated to the sailors of the Italian battleship Roma, sunk in 1943 by German aircraft off the coast of Sardinia near La Maddalena. 1,300 crew members perished. Located next to Isolotto Roma is the island of Santo Stefano. It measures 3 square kilometers and has played numerous military and strategic roles in the region throughout history. Defensive fortifications have been located here since the end of the 10th century, and a NATO base was established in the 20th century. When tourism was the focus and a hotel resort was built, the pandemic forced its closure, and the island was once again deserted. Meanwhile, our boat is bustling with life, and the reason for this excitement is the display of specimens pulled directly from the surrounding sea. Many people may have encountered sea urchins, mainly by stepping on them in the sea, which can result in a painful sting. The more adventurous can now handle such urchins in their own hands. This must be done very carefully, as the spines can dig into the skin. Furthermore, such a sea urchin moves very slowly, yet perceptibly, in our hand. The sensations are unique. I still have it, right? Yes, it's alive, you know.
Not ingress. Okay, but it seems to have peed.
We can also see what a dried sea urchin looks like, or rather, its shell. No spines anymore. It's like an exotic ornament. But now let's take a look at these peculiar creatures called sea cucumbers. Because of their appearance, they also have other names and are the subject of many crude jokes. Suffice it to say that they harden when held in the hand. Besides, you can see what they look like. These are actually sea cucumbers, very important to the underwater ecosystem, as they clean the bottoms of seas and oceans. They aren't dangerous, unlike sea urchins, but not everyone is willing to touch them. Especially since they can squirt their internal contents from their bodies when threatened. The presentation generates great interest and amusement, and definitely energizes the entire group. Both the sea urchins and sea cucumbers are edible. but these specimens are returned to the water. Unfortunately, these are the last attractions of our cruise. The boat heads to the port of Palal, where we departed. The race is coming to an end. In the port of Palal, we find time for a short conversation with Ewelina Falenciaquara. We're already at the end of the cruise, or rather, most of the crew has already left our boat, and towards the end, we decided to say goodbye to the organizer, Ewelina. Ewelina, a wonderful reception. We think that the compatriots whose guests, or rather, all the guests, because it's not just compatriots, are always happy. And we are very satisfied. We are impressed with everything we managed to see. I'm very glad you enjoyed it. Most of my guests enjoy this cruise, they enjoy this day. I hope they're not kidding me. How long have you lived here in
Sardinia, 20 years.
20 years?
20 years in Sardinia. I've been cruising for 5.
Aha. R.
These cruises only here in this bay on the La Maddalena Archipelago, or is it?
Mostly, we only do the La Maddalena Archipelago. Sometimes, if we have free time, a free day, we also organize trips to Bonifacio and the islands of Cavallo and Isopiana. And then we've been cruising for so many years. Do you recommend our compatriots to live here? Of course. If only we can combine the Polish and Sardinian mentalities.
And are they similar? Oh, we'll ask my husband. There.
Absolutely not similar. Listen, we're leaving. I don't know if you know, they're not similar. They are absolutely.
Quick explanation. Everyone's already disembarked, and we decided to chat. Ewelina's husband, on the other hand, thought everyone had disembarked and he and his wife could sail home.
It looks like we're about to sail to Ewelina's house, which means a
storm is even bearing down on us, so we're running away.
Listen, contact us on Facebook and on Instagram.
Poca na Sardinia. And I invite you to the Facebook group on Instagram, Albacore Excursions. And join me on my private Elena Falciawar app Poca na Sardinia, if you'd like to be my friend.
And if you'd like to read about all the most interesting places, we recommend this guide by Alicia Stolasic, whom we'll meet in the next part of our journey. Back on the mainland, the passengers are still in awe.
It was a fantastic day. The sun is already setting over the port of Palal. And we're still rocking on the ship we just disembarked from. We're on the pier. Beautiful places in the Maddalena Archipelago. Ewelina sailed to Maddalena because that's where she lives. Well, we still remember those fantastic moments, the great group we spent time with. Golden. And now, we're going back to our place. Actually, more Sardinia attractions await us.
While you're in Sardinia, take a trip to the Maddalena Archipelago. You'll see even more of Sardinia, and it's worth doing it with a Polish woman in Sardinia, Ewelina Falenciaquara. Greetings to Ewelina again. Delicious cuisine, delicious pasta. If you have the chance, you must try my husband's pasta. Ewal. You can ask for seconds. We, of course, took some. But back to today's cruise and Ewelina. If you happen to be a fan of making pickled cucumbers or other pickled foods, you'd have a jar to spare. Plus, you're going to Sardinia. And if you're going on a cruise to visit Mrs. Ewelina, you can also bring cucumbers. First, of course, you need to have room for them in your luggage. So bring your own for Mrs. Ewelina because she's a cucumber fan. If we knew, we would have, but she didn't know what wafers were. She mistook them for Anruda. That's how people from Szczecin have them. That was a special part of our trip, but more is ahead. What are we doing now? We're visiting more places in Sardinia. Because there are other unique places in Sardinia and more wonderful people waiting for us in Poznan. Only dinners like these. Dry. For now, it's dinners, so we're the mosquitoes. We'll have to tell Roddick there are mosquitoes here. See you soon. This time, it's not Iceland. Welcome to our Sardinian journey. In this episode, we take you to the town of Boza. We'll experience the idol of central Sardinia. We'll try to draw water from an ancient well. No one drew it because it didn't look so good. We'll bask in the hot springs and conclude our Sardinian dinner with someone who knows everything about Sardinia, and even more. Think of a place thousands of years old. Where history speaks in the ancient language of stones. Think of an island that has attracted sailors and dreamers for centuries. Think of music that captures the heart. Imagine its inhabitants living in harmony with nature. Imagine an island wild, beautiful, and authentic. Imagine the people captivated by this place. Listen, we're sailing away. I don't know if you know. Experience an adventure in the depths, underground, on land and at sea. Experience encounters that remain in the heart. Experience a history that endures. And a present that captivates with warmth. Think about it all. Think about Sardinia. And join us on a journey to this extraordinary island. Sardinia. Oh, so many positive emotions. Absolutely amazing. Now it's time for something to eat. Part 4, Boza and Central Sardinia. We continue our 2-week journey through Sardinia. Welcome to our channel, Łukasz and Roddick. Another installment of our journey through Sardinia awaits us. This time, we visit the central part of the island and show you its unique spots. Stay with us. Before we can enjoy the views of central Sardinia, we arrive on the west coast in the town of Boza. Even from afar, the view of the town is breathtaking. Boza captivates from the very first moment. We'll soon discover that it's one of the most atmospheric towns in Sardinia. Our adventure begins in the heart of the city, in the historic district of Sa Costa, at La Conda di Orte, a small hotel nestled in a historic townhouse. Thanks to this location, we're immersed in the everyday lives of the locals. The interior is furnished to meet the requirements of a modern rental apartment, but the atmosphere of a former home has been preserved. The only drawback is getting there with luggage, as cars are inaccessible and the cobblestones are paved. From the terrace, you can see the roofs of colorful houses climbing the slopes to Malaspina Castle. We'll be climbing there soon. We're enchanted by this place. The history of Boza dates back to prehistoric times. The area around today's town was inhabited as early as the Nuraghic era. Boza was founded by the Phoenicians, probably in the 1st century BC. The town was ruled by Romans, Vandals, Byzantines, and Aragonese. Boza gradually developed as a trading and port center. The town lies on the mouth of the Temo River, where it flows into the Mediterranean Sea. A 7-meter stretch of the river is navigable, making it the only river accessible to ships in Sardinia. The row of similar buildings along the Temo River's banks are former tanneries. The tradition of tanning leather dates back to Roman rule. It flourished again in the 19th century, making the city a leading tanning center in Italy. Buildings were located near the river for water supply, but also at a distance from homes because of the smell. Today, the buildings serve various purposes. Some are abandoned, but a tannery museum has been established in Boza, showcasing the city's history. Then, as now, the tanneries are connected to the Sa Costa district by the Ponte Vecchio, or Old Bridge, spanning the Temo River. This is another of the city's landmarks. It's relatively new considering the surrounding monuments, having operated in this form since the late 19th century. Previously, there was a wooden bridge. It would have been a bit longer, but it is very narrow, and all the city's traffic passes through it. Boza's symbol is the castle, built in the 10th century, perched on Cervale Hill, 80 meters above sea level. Built by the Malaspina family, originally from Tuscany, it was named after them. So let's begin our tour of Boza with this impressive structure. We also advise all visitors to head there first thing in the morning. There will be fewer tourists and the temperature will be even more bearable. Honestly, the castle is most impressive from the outside. There's not much to see inside. It's mostly ruins, although the biggest attraction is the views. Different sections of the buildings were built in different centuries. Primarily, the building was fortified as a defensive stronghold. We climb the highest tower, because up there, the excitement is at its peak, but first, you have to get there. We had quite a lot of sightseeing planned for today, but one castle and a tower climb will probably change all that. Oh! You'll see it soon. The difficult climb is rewarded by the views. The entire hike along the top of the defensive walls offers beautiful scenery. You can see the medieval town, the course of the Temo River all the way to its mouth at the sea. To add to the excitement, various legends thrive here. The jealous Marquis ordered an underground passage built for his beautiful wife from the castle to the cathedral so that she wouldn't be exposed to prying eyes as she walked the streets. One day, however, in a fit of rage, he severed her fingers and wrapped them in a handkerchief. Unfortunately, they fell out, and the ruler was captured. There's also a legend about the haunting ghost of a princess whose father refused to marry her lover and locked her in a tower. After all this superstition, it might be worth visiting the church. In the courtyard stands the best preserved building, the Church of Our Lady of Sos Regnos Altos. It served as the palace chapel and isn't particularly impressive from the outside. But the most interesting elements lie inside, 14th century frescoes depicting gospel scenes. In the 19th century, a teenager found a wooden statue of the Virgin Mary among the castle ruins. A discovery considered miraculous led to the consecration of the church to the Virgin Mary, and to commemorate this, the city celebrates the Feast of Our Lady of Sos Regnos Altos every year on the second Sunday in September. The old town of Sa Costa grew at the foot of the castle hill. Residents moved from the nearby settlement of Boza Vitas, as it was safer there. The labyrinth of narrow 18th century streets is captivating. You can wander endlessly here, discovering something interesting around every corner. Pastel-colored houses adorned with flowers and balconies, traces of the past. Remnants of celebrations. And the voices of locals echoing through the narrow alleyways. A little lower down lies the most important street. This much wider and more representative street is Corso Vittorio Emanuele II. This is where the main tourist traffic in the city flows. You won't find peace here. Restaurants and shops are available. You can also note the 18th and 19th century patrician houses with ornate balconies and portals lining the pedestrian zone. Corso Vittorio Emanuele II leads us to the magnificent Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception of the Blessed Virgin Mary. The exterior is characterized by two domes covered with colorful majolica and a squat bell tower made of red sandstone, which remained unfinished. The first church was probably built here in the 10th century. Subsequent centuries brought further reconstructions. The cathedral's appearance was finally shaped in the 19th century in the Piedmontese Baroque and Neoclassical styles. The barrel-vaulted interior is adorned with multicolored marble. A monumental staircase separates the transept from the rest of the interior. If you're interested in exploring the churches further, you can also visit the Church of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. This is also an example of Piedmontese Baroque. The church dates back to the 10th century. We leave the old town of Sa Costa and follow the Temo River to its mouth. Here lies the Bosa Marina district. Our eyes immediately turn to the imposing tower. The Spanish structure is located on Isola Rosa. It was once an islet, lying about 300 meters from the coast in the 15th century. Since the mid-20th century, the island has been connected to the mainland. At the mouth of the Temo River, you'll also find a port for boats and yachts. Those looking for a beach holiday can also head here. The beach in Bosa is extensive. However, considering the beaches found in the region, its appearance may not be impressive, but it is close to the city. However, you will be captivated by an unusual rock formation. To see it, you first need to cross the mouth of the Temo River and then embark on a hike of about 10 minutes. Among the unique-looking rocks, a natural pool carved into the trahite rock appears before you. This is Canamalu. You can relax on the rocks and admire the views, or dive into the water, but this is only for good swimmers. Jumping into the water is also a common activity here, although it's not entirely safe. Some people take longer to get into the water. And that's
Great, bravo. As you saw my entry into this natural pool, Sardinia keeps providing new treasures. Roddick's entry consumed the entire battery, so we won't show you much. So, how's it going? We're staying here until sunset. But it's a good idea.
And so our time on Canimel flew by almost until sunset. We return to the old town and our apartment. The terrace on top of the tenement house with its exceptional view is the perfect place to spend time for dinner. Could there be a more romantic setting? A night in Bosa has a certain magic to it. The Castello Malaspina, the old fortress. It looks like a guardian of the city. Down below, along the main street, Corso Vittorio Emanuele II, life begins to bustle. It's here, in the heart of the old town, that Bosa's nightlife is concentrated. Locals and tourists stroll leisurely, looking for a spot, listening to music. Others stop by the exhibitions. Just a few steps further, the bustle of the main street ends, and a labyrinth of narrow, empty streets begins. They wind between colorful houses that seem to sleep in the lamplight. A walk among the old walls transports us to another century, to a time when the city teemed with the life of craftsmen and sailors. The streets are dotted with colorful decorations. These are remnants of the feast of Our Lady of Disos Regnos Altos, which was celebrated this weekend. Every second Sunday in September, a procession descends from the castle onto these streets, and the streets are decorated as if for Corpus Christi. In the evening, residents feast at tables set in the streets. The calm waters of the Temo River reflect the silhouettes of the old tanneries, which for centuries have symbolized the city's industriousness. Of all the places we visited in Sardinia, from the rocky coastlines to the bustling cities, Boza proved to be the most exceptional. Our journey takes us deeper into the island, into its interior. In the heart of Sardinia, near the town of Paoli Latino, lies one of the island's most enigmatic sites. The sprawling Santa Cristina is a place that has attracted Sardinians, researchers, and travelers for thousands of years. Finding it isn't difficult, as the complex is located just off a road, and you can be transported back centuries in time. The area is composed of several sections. We walk between them in 30-degree heat, thus shifting the era by several centuries. We begin our tour with the most remarkable structure here, the Well of St. Cristina, also known as the Well of Santa Cristina. A place of water worship, dating back to the 10th century BC. Dozens of such sites have been discovered in Sardinia, but this is the most impressive. The ancestors of the Sardinians came here to perform rituals for healing. A trapezoidal staircase leads down to a room whose floor is a sheet of water, a spring that has been flowing here for thousands of years. The precision with which the blocks were crafted here is truly incredible. The chamber is covered by a so-called false dome. It contains an opening that suggests the sacred well was also used to observe the movements of celestial bodies. Many consider this site to possess energetic powers. But this isn't the only prehistoric structure found here. Here we also reach one of the famous structures of the Sardinian ancestors, the Nuraghi. This culture left behind the famous Nuragic structures. They may have served a residential purpose, but they also arguably served a temple function. We also tell you about the Nuragic structures in other parts of our series on Sardinia. The Nuragh here, as well as the entire village surrounding it, dates back to the 15th century BC. It is therefore older than the Santa Cristina well. And that's not all there is to see at this archaeological center. There's also a Christian sanctuary here, and in its center is the small church of Santa Cristina, dating back to the 10th century, built by Camaldolese monks. Surrounding it is a small village of cottages that welcome pilgrims. This is how the monks named the local church, dedicated to Saint Cristina. This name also applies to the nearby Tunoric and the Holy Well, although they were built centuries earlier. A stroll through the local archaeological center is like a journey back in time. Inspired by the cleansing power of the water from the Holy Well of Santa Cristina, we venture further into the island, into increasingly remote areas. In reality, we're accompanied only by beautiful views and flocks of sheep. We learned about this place from Alicia Stolarczyk, a Sardinia enthusiast and author of numerous guidebooks. We have an appointment with her, which will be featured in the film soon. We reach a small roadside stop where we park our car. We begin our short walk by passing through a gate, which, as is common in pastures, must be left tied with a string. After a short walk, we reach our destination, though we must admit that it takes a bit of effort to find it among the rocks and undergrowth. Listen, we can hear the rush of water, so we must be in the right place. The whole pool is ours. But it's ours. A natural thermal pool. Sardinia is a sunny and hot island, but it has exceptionally hot spots, and they're not by the sea, but in the center of the island. Among those hills and fields we hiked and which path you saw a moment ago, lies this hot spring, dammed into a pool. The water still flows there, but here you can bathe. The water is truly very, very warm. It's peaceful. We're alone here. It's very nice to unwind like this at the end of a day when you've had a very intense one, just like us. It's very relaxing. Well, we're going to relax now after our rest. Thermal springs can be found in many places in Sardinia. Some are even surrounded by resorts and hotels. Many, however, are small stone pools, constantly fed by water gushing from beneath the earth and rocks. So small that only a few people can fit in them. If, while bathing, you notice others heading towards the spot, the unwritten rule is that after 15 minutes of bathing, you leave the spot for others. The hot water flowing from Sardinia's interior soothes the body and calms the mind. A moment's immersion in these warm waters is enough to feel the still, vibrant life beneath this island, which for thousands of years has given people strength, solace, and awe at the power of nature. If you want to spend more time on the plains of central Sardinia, it may be worth considering an overnight stay, even for a few days. We recommend the resort we chose. We approached it initially via regular roads, then increasingly narrower ones, until finally, we followed paths through fields. When, after a while, some buildings appear, we realize it's probably here. To make things easier, the nearest town is Narbolia. We arrive at Luga Luna village, a resort composed of single-story cottages nestled in natural fields. Peace, quiet, almost idyllic, yet with the comforts of a high-class hotel. Just relax. Especially since the resort also has its own swimming pool for pleasant moments of cooling off on those hot days. And here, where the pleasant sea breeze no longer reaches, it can get really hot. To uphold tradition, we have to record it. Sardinia, September 20th, 33 degrees. Almost 2 weeks of pure sunshine, no clouds, because there will surely be questions. And what if the doctor didn't say so and it's divine? Is there a downside? Be warned, among these fields and vegetation, the sheer number of mosquitoes can make your life miserable. However, if, despite this beautiful setting, someone misses the coast, there's a very interesting spot nearby, a fascinating and unusual beach. The local rock formations are exceptional. Arco Sarchitu is a unique arch created by nature in a coastal limestone cliff, reaching less than 20 meters. It's the forces of nature that create such landscapes here. Initially, it was a cave carved into the cliff, but time has taken its toll. Here, you can relax on the beach with such a view. You can go kayaking or windsurfing. Any time spent here will be a unique experience. Meanwhile, we head a little north. We head through fields of dense Mediterranean vegetation, following narrow paths. Our destination is Capo Caccia. We find ourselves in the Montiferru region, whose bedrock was formed by volcanic activity and stretches all the way to the coast, creating basalt cliffs. Unfortunately, this is where we are met with disappointment. At other times of the year, the basalt bedrock brings a small stream here, unable to carve a gentle outlet into the sea through the rocks, so it usually falls directly into the sea from this rocky cliff. Unfortunately, the summer flood causes many streams to dry up. Here, too, we were left to admire the beautiful rocky cliff and envy those who, at other times of the year, could see a waterfall falling directly into the sea. Meanwhile, at our Luge Luna village resort, we once again had an idyllic rural atmosphere. As you can see, the sun is slowly setting. This is an important evening for us, as we have a special dinner planned. So we drive to a nearby village, still surrounded by flat fields and aquatic vegetation. We arrive at the Sudasuru farm. Its host is Mr. Fabio. The organizer is Alicia Stolarczyk, a writer, blogger, traveler, and above all, a Sardinia lover. She doesn't live here, but visits as often as possible, and so she has for over a decade. He organizes activities for Poles coming to the island. We greet the other guests and meet the whole crew. There's an immediate, pleasant atmosphere. Sardinia has that effect on people, and probably Alicia Stolarczyk herself.
Good, they'll call us when it's ready.
For now, dinner is the mosquito-infested part of us.
Finalmente.
Meaning, finally.
Quickly, or the mosquitoes will fly in.
Finally, the whole group sits down at the table in Mr. Fabio's house. Dinner. Our host serves appetizers, and Alicia, who knows the host perfectly and speaks Italian, tells us about what's on the table.
Well, we're in the pleasant phase. As long as this plate is at the top, it means we're eating the appetizers, and when it's removed, it means we're moving on to the main course. There are plenty of appetizers, and a bowl is usually full after the appetizers, so save room in your future plans. For appetizers, fresh bread, cold cuts, sheep's milk cheeses, an interesting marinated liver, grilled eggplant, and olives. Alicia said we should clear everything from the table.
Should we put the wine in cups? That's it.
Fine.
And the wine, served in jugs and drunk in glasses. Everything's Mr. Fabio's. Okay, so how do you like it? And that's just an appetizer. Dinners like this are one of the attractions Alicia Stolarczyk organizes here. You can spend time with her on Sardinia Maniacs tours, as she calls her guests. I'd
like to raise the first glass to all of you here, who are here for the first time.
You can explore interesting places in Sardinia, and she's described these places in several guidebooks to the island. Contact Alicia Stolarczyk on various social media platforms. You'll find the links under the video. The time between courses is filled with conversations between Sardinia maniacs. Alicia chats with everyone, telling Sardinian stories. Here on the Sinus Peninsula, there are large ponds where everyone feels like they're at a family gathering. And to give the gentleman a boost of vitality, Alicia slathers everyone with a branch of a local plant. Apparently, it helps. The main course of this dinner is Malordis pasta with meat and tomato sauce, followed by roast pork. We'll speed things up, because it'll take a while for Roddick to serve it. Well. Memento. For some, that's even too many dishes, but certainly not for us. Finally, dessert. Sardinian dumplings like ciadas or ciabattas. Wheel. Describe more Sardinian delicacies at these dinners in the next installment of our Sardinian journey. Dinner ends with Sardinian mirto for better digestion. Finally, thanks are given, and there are even gifts for the host, Signor Fabio. The evening lasts a very long time. The hours fly by unnoticed. We wonder if Alizia embodies the qualities of Sardinia, or Sardinia embodies the qualities of Alizia. They've been together for years. Both are cheerful and sunny, making everyone feel good around them. Alizia Stolarczyk has already infected many people with her love of Sardinia, simply because she instills a love for a positive life. We return to our resort late at night, but in an excellent mood. And in such a mood we conclude our next installment of our Sardinian story. Okay, but the jokes and the jokes, this is a serious, historical place. We showed you the atmospheric town of Bosa, which we consider the most beautiful in Sardinia. We looked into an ancient well and basked in the thermal pool. Listen, we've been sitting here for about 3 minutes and it's already hard to stand. Come on, there's a rising tide.
Stop.
You see the waves are getting bigger. So hurry up a bit. So I think we prefer some modern pools. We've shown you the beauty of Sardinia's central western coast. I wonder what this island is. If I had Alizia's guidebook, I'd know everything. To conclude a visit to this region with Sardinia lovers. There's a sheep. Or have we just become Sardinia maniacs? Check out the next installments of our Sardinia trip.
And where from? From the south of Sardinia, or Cagliari. A city of 1,000 steps, 1,000 hills, and 1 elephant.
Traveling around this island is never boring. Let's summarize our impressions. Simply amazing. Indeed. What more can I say?
More impressions in the next installments. See you. Stay with us. See you soon.
Welcome to our Sardinian journey. In this episode, we'll show you the town of Cagliari. We'll tell you what's worth eating in Sardinia. We'll wander through a magical grotto. We'll visit the southwest coast to explore a port carved into a mountain. Think of a place thousands of years old. Where history speaks the ancient language of stone. Think of an island that has attracted sailors and dreamers for centuries. Think of music that captures the heart. Imagine its inhabitants living in harmony with nature. Imagine an island wild, beautiful, and authentic. Imagine the people captivated by this place. Listen, we're leaving. I don't know if you know. Experience an adventure in the depths, underground, on land and at sea. Experience encounters that remain in your heart. Experience a history that endures. And a present that captivates with warmth. Think of all this. Think of Sardinia. And join us on a journey to this extraordinary island. Sardinia. Oh, so many positive emotions. It's truly amazing. Now it's time to eat. Part 5. Cagliari and the Southwest. We continue our 2-week journey through Sardinia. Welcome to our channel. My name is Łukasz.
And I'm Radek.
This time we're taking you to southern Sardinia.
And southern Sardinia is Cagliari, but not only that. What else can you see with us?
Enjoy watching. We're located in the southern part of the island and arrive in Sardinia's capital, Cagliari. Cagliari differs from other cities in Sardinia. It is the largest and, in fact, the only metropolitan area, and as such, it houses around 500,000 people, a full third of Sardinia's population. The city of Cagliari itself has around 150,000 inhabitants. Since the dawn of time, it has been the largest port and center of power, standing out among the island's agricultural and pastoral communities. Ancient Caralis was founded around the 6th century BC by the Phoenicians, a people of seafarers and merchants. As an important trading center on the Mediterranean route from Phoenicia, present-day Lebanon, to the Iberian Peninsula, the entire city, its streets, buildings, and monuments, bear traces of successive civilizations, the Polish, Roman, and Byzantine, as well as periods of Pisan, Aragonese, and Savoyard domination. Cagliari, with its multi-story structure, is known as the City on Seven Hills, a fact comparable to Rome. Cagliari is one of the cities to which Poles can fly directly from Poland. Cagliari is a modern metropolis, the capital of Sardinia and the administrative center of the island, yet it still retains the spirit of bygone times. For our overnight stay, we choose the impressive Palazzo Terzo Hotel. We can confidently say it was built with daunting splendor. It's a restored building from a sports company dating back to 1920. We chose it for its accessibility to the city's most important sites. Unfortunately, even such a hotel isn't immune to the problems typical of local accommodations, namely the lack of parking. You have to rely on paid parking in municipal parking lots. The rooftop terrace overlooks the port and historic center. It's the perfect starting point to feel the rhythm of this city. We set off along the wide, representative Via Roma to explore the city. It runs alongside the port of Cagliari. It's a huge passenger and commercial hub. Several sections of the port serve everything from the smallest yachts and fishing boats to large cruise ships and container ships. Via Roma leads us to the monumental town hall, Palazzo Civico. The building is a fusion of many styles, dating from the turn of the 19th and 20th centuries. The town hall is easily recognizable by its two octagonal towers at the front and side turrets, which house sculptures of Moorish heads. These can also be found on the Sardinian flag. The Sardinian flag, known as the Quattro Mori, depicts a red cross and four Moorish heads. Heads once wore blindfolds, symbolizing defeated opponents, but the blindfolds were later moved to the forehead. The modern design was officially adopted in 1999. From the Marina district, let's move to the most interesting part of the city, the Cagliari Castello. This is the oldest part of the city, situated on a hill reaching up to 100 meters high. Home to former rulers and nobility until the mid-20th century, it is surrounded by defensive walls. We enter Castello Hill by a magnificent structure, gleaming among the city's architecture. This is the bastion of San Remi. Its name comes from the first Piedmontese viceroy of Sardinia, the French Baron of San Remi. The structure was conceived as a link between the upper and lower towns. A monumental staircase leads to the top. The bastion of San Remi was built in the 19th century on the site of ancient walls. The granite and limestone are dazzling in the Sardinian sun. From below, the bastion resembles a triumphal arch. A walk up the hill reveals truly theatrical views and impressive shots. At the opposite end of Castello Hill, we encounter the gates that entered the old town and guarded its former inhabitants. These are the Porta Arsenale, Porta Cristina, Porta del Late, and Porta San Pancro. They are located on the 5th floor of the arsenal. Right next to it, we can admire one of the watchtowers, the Torre di San Pancrazio from the 14th century, the tallest watchtower in Cagliari. Those eager to delve deeper into the history of Cagliari and Sardinia as a whole will enjoy the nearby so-called citadel of museums. In fact, various museums are housed in the former Sardinian arsenal. Visiting the entire complex is essentially another day spent in Cagliari. We've already mentioned the Torre di San Pancrazio, but the most famous defensive tower here is the Elephant Tower. 2 years younger than its sister, it also dates back to the 14th century. Rising over 30 meters, it played a key role in the city's defense system. Its construction is interesting, with one wall missing from the city side. During the Aragonese and Spanish domination, it was expanded, allowing for the creation of a warehouse and quarters for government officials. Until the end of the 19th century, it served as a prison, and at the beginning of the 20th, its original three-sided form was restored. The name Elephant Tower comes from a marble sculpture. The Pisans traded extensively with Africa, from where exotic goods, including ivory, were imported. Near the tower was the Street of Elephants, where these goods were sold. This pleasant name, however, harkens back to the tower's dark past, when the heads of those condemned to death were hung at the gates of the former prison as a warning. However, this would definitely not appeal to modern visitors. The lady continues her tour, while we continue on foot, as all these most interesting sites can be reached on foot. Another important point of our journey lies ahead. From afar, we glimpse a magnificent building, often considered the most precious treasure of the old town. The Cathedral of the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary and Saint Cecilia was built in the early 10th century. It combines many artistic styles, having been rebuilt over the following centuries. Its octagonal dome dominates the old town. In the 1930s, the current facade, inspired by the cathedral in PSI, was completed. The 11th century bell tower proudly stands to the side of the facade. Inside, the church impresses with its spaciousness and marble ornamentation. The main nave is finished in the Baroque style with arches and slender columns. The interior is adorned with double bas-reliefs. Beneath the chancel lies the crypt of 179 martyrs, where niches containing their remains are bricked up in the walls. The barrel ceiling, covered with 584 stone rosettes, is impressive. A visit to the cathedral seems to be a must-see on a visit to the Castello Hill in Cagliari. Descending the hill, we reach the Roman amphitheater, carved directly into the rock in the 2nd century AD. It is the largest Roman monument on the island, and could accommodate 100,000 spectators. Gladiator fights, public gatherings, shows, and even reenactments of naval battles were held here. A special system of canals allowed the arena to be filled with water. During World War II, the city's inhabitants took refuge in these canals. In the Middle Ages, the amphitheater fell into ruin, and subsequent conquerors used parts of the structure as building materials. Venturing outside the central districts of Cagliari, you can visit a temple located on one of the hills. This is the Santuario di Nostra Signora di Bonaria. The first church on Bonaria Hill, or Good Air, was built by the Catalans in the 14th century, as it was far from the wetlands by the beach. Legend has it that during a storm, a ship spilled its cargo. A large chest that sailed up to the hillside turned out to contain a wooden statue of the Madonna with a child in her arms and a candle in her hand. Soon, all of Sardinia began to venerate the statue, and an entire sanctuary was established. The local Madonna, so-called Madonna of Good Air, the patron saint of sailors, also venerated among Argentine sailors, gave Buenos Aires its name. It's time to enjoy the sea. A few kilometers from the center stretches the famous Porto Beach, 8 kilometers of white sand and turquoise water. It's a favorite spot for both Cagliari residents and tourists. Here, you can sunbathe, swim, run, enjoy water sports, cycle, or hang out at one of the beach bars. Just behind the beach lies the Molentarius Saline Regional Park. Former salt flats, now a nature reserve, hundreds of flamingos can often be seen in the shallow lagoons. One of Sardinia's natural symbols, salt was once mined here. Today, it's an oasis of peace and one of the most valuable ecosystems in southern Sardinia. At the end of Porto Beach stands the distinctive rock formation Sella del Diavolo, or Devil's Saddle. According to legend, the devil, captivated by the beauty of the bay, wanted to keep it for himself, but was thrown down by the archangel Michael and, during the fight, fell from his saddle, which remained on the ground. Today, a trekking trail leads here, offering views of the entire Cagliari Bay and the blue sea stretching to the horizon. Let's return to the city in the evening. After dark, Cagliari changes its rhythm. The bustle of the streets quiets in the residential areas, but the Marina and Castello districts come alive. Bars, restaurants, and clubs fill with tourists, resonating with loud conversations, music, and laughter. On Corso Vittorio Emanuele II, it's hard to find a free table. This is where locals and tourists meet to sample Sardinian cuisine, local wines, and seafood. The light of the San Remi bastion still shines above the city. It's impossible to resist climbing the monumental structure. The views from here are breathtaking both at night and by day. Tourists enjoying the local delicacies are making us hungry too. Łukasz can't resist the freshly prepared pizzettas. A perfect quick snack. A convenient combination of pizza and sandwich. It's probably time to delve into the culinary delights of Sardinia. Sardinian cuisine is an art of living. Flavors unchanged for centuries, simplicity, family feasting, but also the cuisine of the shepherds. Let's start with the famous shepherd's bread, baked in the oven, paper-thin pane carousel. Add Sardinian cheeses, pecorino, a long-ripened sheep's cheese, and its counterpart, caprino, a goat's cheese. Add dried meats and olive oil, and you have a simple, delicious Sardinian meal. Sardinia is a paradise for gourmets. Other hits include similar, though slightly differently made, provolone cheeses and scammores, in the characteristic shape of a pear or snowman. You'll also find stracciatella cheese made with mozzarella and cream. It's also worth trying Sardinian ricotta drizzled with honey, which is a dessert. For dessert, large ciabatta dumplings are also served, filled with sheep's cheese, fried, and drizzled with honey. It tastes fantastic. Time for a real treat. During large family gatherings, a whole roasted suckling pig is served. This is colourful, Sardinian dumplings stuffed with potatoes, mint, and pecorino. Hand-braided into the shape of a grain ear. They resemble our Russian dumplings. Sardinia is, of course, a paradise for pasta lovers. Malortus resembles small worms. This pasta is best served with tomato sauce and olive oil. Another pasta is frigola. These are small balls, best served with seafood. Deliciously stuffed ravioli are also handmade in Sardinia, most often filled with cheese or meat and topped with tomato sauce, but there are many variations. After a main meal, you can take a few sips of mirto to aid digestion. This is a famous Sardinian liqueur made from the myrtle plant, which is popular in Sardinia. Red mirto is made from myrtle berries, while white mirto is made from leaves and flowers. We've already mentioned some of the desserts. You can also enjoy torrado, a nougat with almonds, nuts, and honey. You can also indulge in pardoras cupcakes, a short crust pastry filled with sheep's cheese or ricotta. These are delicious little cheesecakes. There are also Sardinian equivalents of our gingerbread cookies called pavacinas. Let's not forget that Sardinia is part of Italy, so you can't miss out on some ice cream. Sardinians have countless wines to choose from with your meal. Among the most famous wines is Cannonau. Sardinians often emphasize that this is what gives them their renowned longevity. Another famous wine is Vermentina. Fresh, citrus-scented, and perfect with seafood. Sardinians also have many beers, but the most famous is undoubtedly their Nusa. Food in Sardinia is a celebration, a remembrance of ancient traditions, and a pleasure shared with family and friends. Every bite can tell as much as many stories about the island. We continue our exploration of the southwestern part of Sardinia. From the town of Cagliari, we travel westward, into the interior of the island. Among hills, small villages, and populated corners, we head for a place hidden deep within the mountains. We finally emerge before a rock face with an opening like a giant doorway into the earth. It already looks inviting. After briefly donning miner's attire, we can slowly set off. Okay. We'll take the paved road, as is typical of this place. This is the Grotta San Giovanni, or St. John's Cave. It's one of the few natural caves in the world with a road running through it. It was built to transport materials from a nearby mine. We stroll through it leisurely, following a comfortable route, as if through a tunnel, yet the place is incredibly interesting. Inside the cave, you can admire stalactites, stalagmites, and stunning rock formations. We haven't explored all of Sardinia yet, and we may not know each other. But this may be one of the coolest places on the island. On a scorching hot day, the cave offers a pleasant coolness and exceptional views. The road inside the cave was built in the 19th century. Until a few decades ago, it was passable by car. Since 1999, when the cave was declared a natural monument, it has been protected and can only be traversed on foot. After an 850-meter walk, we reach the mouth on the other side of the mountain. The cave can be visited from both sides. Where does the name St. John's Cave come from? Until 1800, a chapel dedicated to the saint stood in one of the alcoves. Unfortunately, it did not survive the construction of the road. The cave here is more complex than it seems. It's not just the main route. Branches also lead to higher levels, and in total, all the passages are almost 2 kilometers long. As you can see, we weren't accompanied by many tourists. We could have had this cave all to ourselves. Roddick. Now tell me, was it a good idea to come here? I have nothing but good ideas. For us, it's time for the next stage of our journey through southwestern Sardinia. We're heading towards the west coast, to our next hotel on this leg of our journey. We arrive at the Lido de Hispaniola Hotel, situated right on the rocky shore. It's located in Porto's Cuzzo. The building has the atmosphere of a large Mediterranean villa. It sits right on the rocky coast, but the sandy beach of Piaggia di Porto Palieto is also nearby. The hotel's interior is traditionally decorated, but take a look at the views for yourself. The hotel is located right on the rocky beach of Saccal Sussurferu. In Sardinian, it means sulfur bay, referring to sulfur deposits and former mines. Something for lovers of populated places where the only sounds are the wind and the rustle of grass on the dunes. You can focus on admiring these unique rock formations. The next day, we head to a unique attraction in this region. We're on the southwest coast. To reach it, we need to explore the unique landscapes first, but they will help us better understand the sights to come. Not all tourist guides mention Sardinia's industrial past. Local sites remember it perfectly. The views here demonstrate the vast scale of the investment. The Montepone mine is one of the most important sites in the former mining region of Iglesias. It's a symbol of an era when Sardinia was one of the largest producers of zinc and lead in Europe. Its history begins in the mid-19th century, when extremely rich deposits of metals were discovered here. Within a short time, Montepone developed into a vast industrial complex, but by the end of the 20th century, problems arose. The deposits began to be depleted. Competition from cheaper mines outside Europe became insurmountable. Environmental protection costs also rose. The mines became unprofitable and collapsed. Today, the entire infrastructure is a technological monument. But let's move to the coast and go back to the heyday of the local industry, as the ore had to be transported by sea to other countries. We're heading to Flavia Port, but we've never seen a structure like it before. We arrive at the seashore amidst rocky cliffs. Our eyes immediately fall on a unique rock formation, Pan di Zucchero. A 133-meter-tall limestone monolith. It was named for its resemblance to a mountain in Rio de Janeiro. You can see it in our video from our trip to Brazil. But where is this port? Exactly, for this purpose, we arrive before the Great Mountain. We're waiting to enter the mountain. We can't wait to see what's inside. Let's guess, the tunnel. Okay, call us the lady who will be guiding the whole group, okay? And Roddick is already used to it. Grace. We bide our time. We put on our helmets and set off into the interior of the rock. Porto Flavia is one of the most extraordinary industrial structures in all of Sardinia. A port carved into a vertical cliff. An idea that revolutionized ore transportation 100 years ago. In the 1900s, demand for raw materials was growing rapidly, and the existing transportation system was inefficient. A sheltered bay and a cliff were found that allowed for the natural difference in elevation between the mine and the sea. We then reach the heart of the local port, created in the center of the mountain, through a tunnel. In just 18 months, 2 parallel tunnels were dug. The upper one was used for transporting ore, and the lower one, 16 meters above the water, was used for direct loading onto ships. 9 enormous silos were constructed between the tunnels. The accumulated ore fell by gravity onto a conveyor belt extending 15 meters above the water. From there, it was transported directly to the holds of seagoing ships. We visited both the upper and lower tunnels. Porto Flavia is named after the daughter of the designer of this technological marvel. Today, Porto Flavia is unique in the world. a 20th century technical marvel squeezed into a vertical wall above the turquoise waters of the Mediterranean Sea. A visit to Porto Flavia can be a full-day experience. Whether you approach from the north or the south, stunning views await you along the west coast, which you'll definitely want to dedicate some time to. We decided to use our visit to the west coast to admire the magical sunsets on this side of the island. To conclude our Sardinian adventure, an evening picnic on the rocks is the perfect idea. Enjoy some Sardinian delicacies, breathtaking views, and vivid memories of exploring the entire island. So many events, so many experiences, that it's difficult to summarize them in one summary. Sardinia turned out to be larger than a map and deeper than a guidebook. Sardinia isn't an island that reveals everything at once. It allows you to discover its most interesting features step by step. And how much more has it left just for itself, inviting you to visit again. Discovering this unique place, it's easy to understand the legendary longevity of the Sardinians. A traditional healthy diet, activity, family and friends, and a calm approach to life, seasoned with a drop of one of Sardinia's wines. That's all there is to it, but perhaps so much more. Perhaps it's possible to live a Sardinian life, but would it be possible outside of Sardinia? The island will fascinate every traveler. Beautiful beaches at every turn, a history full of turbulent events constantly reveals new facts. The prehistoric secrets of these lands will surprise not only archaeologists. Wonders of nature, marvels of civilization, and people whose optimism is infectious. Are you thinking about a trip to Sardinia? Don't hesitate for a moment and discover this serene and smiling island. Check out all the episodes of our Sardinian journey and we invite you to join us on our next adventures. Maybe on the beach, maybe in a meadow, maybe by the road or at a table, underground or at the edge of a cliff. Each subsequent journey leaves you wanting more and more. So, shall we go exploring some more? Yes. See you soon.